Now, is it true that my mother didn't love me? No, she did. She loved me. See, this is where his genius comes in again, right? Because he may be right. We can only love people to the degree that we can love ourselves. Right? So maybe he's partially right. So I go live with my mother. So I go live with my father. And all I want to do, and this is where I'm so similar to Mike, all I want to do is be like my dad. All I want to do is prove to my dad that I'm worthy of love. I'm terrified of my dad not accepting me. My dad's a land surveyor, whatever that means. So what do you think I want to be now? I want to be a land surveyor. My dad's always complaining about ulcers. This is how powerful the mind can be. So what do you think I got as a kid? Ulcers. My dad had arthritis. He was taking Entrophin for it. And then all of a sudden, I would get Entrophin. I mean, I would get ulcers, and arthritis. I go see a doctor, and I legitimately had it. I wanted so much to be like my dad that anything he had, I would somehow cause it or something to happen in my own body. But at the same time, I'm fighting things because my dad, anybody would call, I hate judging anybody, but anybody would probably label my father an alcoholic. He drank 5 out of 7 times a week, and the terror was not knowing which day he wasn't going to drink or which day he was. And when he did drink, 5 out of 7 days of which I didn't know what it was, when it was going to be, so the terror was like, is this the day it's going to be safe, or is this the day it's not going to be safe? And I was so scared of my father. He'd come home after the drinking, 3 in the morning. They'd always kick him out of the bars, like he was always the last one out of the bar. And then when he came home, he wanted to party some more. So on the one hand, he wants me to do really good in school so I can go to university so I can have the life he never had. But on the other hand, he won't let me go to sleep until he passes out because he needs to keep talking to someone. And I'd say, Dad, I got to go to sleep, please. You told me I got to get good grades. I need to get some sleep. And he'd just yell at me and tell me you do what I say. And so I didn't understand. The rules would just change all the time. I know Winnipeg is really cold in the winter, compared to Toronto, but we have some pretty cold winters too, and it was really cold, and I would sleep on the balcony in the wintertime because I realized that was the only place it was safe. That was the only place it was warm. No matter how drunk my dad was, he wouldn't come out and do things to me, if you know what I mean. To this day, and Mike can attest, he's with me enough that he knows I like my hotels, I like my place to be very, very cold. Correct, Mike? Like extremely cold. Because to me, when it's really cold, I feel safe. So somehow, I guess, in my past, I made a decision that when it's cold, you're safe. And I tried to be good. I tried to be good with my father. I tried everything to get good grades, and I was in music. I skipped a grade in music. I was in a youth orchestra, a Etobicoke Symphony Youth Orchestra. I was the youngest one in that orchestra. I was playing music in a jazz band with my music teacher who had a jazz band. I looked like this prodigy. I was just doing everything to be the best at everything, to impress my dad so he'd love me. Even when I made all that money, you know why I made so much money in business? I thought if I made enough money, my parents would love me. They'd be proud of me. I thought, but no matter what I did, it wouldn't change how they felt about me. So here's the main event. This is when I'm going to tell you one thing that happened to me, and as a result of what I made it mean, that's when I just said kind of, screw it to the world, that I can't win. I can never, ever be successful enough in my dad's eyes. My dad would say things when he was drunk like, I'm a moron. The whole world is insane, he would say, except for him. He was the genius, and when you're a kid, you believe what your father says, even if it's not true. At least I did, I should say. I just thought anything my father says is like God, like gold. And so I was like this confused kid. And so this is what happened. And then after this, months later, I'm doing drugs for years, but I never did them before. I was a kid that went to church on my own. And I'm not here to convert or preach or say any conception of God is superior. Please don't hear it that way, but I don't want to apologize for my experience, is that I chose to be a Christian as a kid. I went on my own. I didn't have parents say, you've got to do this. I was looking for something. And I chose that. And anyway, my father comes home from work one day, and it's not one of those days where he's going to go drinking. He comes home from work, and he's talking to me. And he's not abusive, I'm not scared, and he's having a conversation with me, which I always like. Like any kind of conversation with my dad makes me feel like maybe I'm important. Maybe I'm appreciated. I don't know. Maybe I'm wanted. And my dad's telling me all these things about his life. He said, and I'll never remember, it's what happened. He said, son, when I was your age, I had life by the, like you do. Those were his words. He says, I was going to go some places just like you are. And the reason why I'm not, well, first of all, let me tell you what my dreams were, son. And this is what all alcoholics and addicts do, including myself back then, and still to a degree sometimes now, is we blame other people or things for why our life doesn't work. We blame. In fact, I can listen to someone talk to me, and if I hear them predominantly complaining, blaming, and gossiping, I already know they're an addict. They're addicted to something. It's just, what is it? My dad says, son, I was going to go to university. I was going to get a degree. I was going to own my own land surveying business. Then I was going to get married, and then I was going to have kids. That was my plan. And then he says, but then you were born, son. And then he says, and on the day you were born, son, that was the day my dreams died. Can you see why I gave up trying to be loved by my dad? How do you beat that? How do you But see, looking back, I didn't know what Mike was starting to share, and we're just trying to share a viewpoint, is that it wasn't what my dad said to me that was the tragedy. The tragedy is what I made it mean, what I interpreted it. See, when my dad said, on the day you were born, son, that was the day my dreams died, the tragedy is that I decided right then and there, I'm a mistake and I'm evil. Like, how bad could you be? Like, bad is bad, but I mean, I'm evil. The person I love and look up to the most on the planet is my father, and he just told me that I destroyed all his dreams and I destroyed his life, and I can see that's why he's an alcoholic and that's why he's abusing me. I did this to him. Now, was my interpretation the truth? Is it true that I destroyed my father's life? But yeah, if I would have believed that, if I would have had your wisdom back then, I might not have turned to all these different drugs. Like literally, I wish I believed that. I wish I had your wisdom. Because when that happened, if I would have just said, you know what? Dad screwed up. He's got problems. He destroyed his own life. This has nothing to do with me. Would that have been a better way to look at it for me? But I didn't. I blamed myself for my whole life. And all I wanted to do now was escape how bad I felt. Because here's what happens.